Cool. This is lesson 2.5, normal distribution, find the area from values. The applet is going to do all the work for us. All we need to know is the mean and the standard deviation of this guy. So I do want to understand the problems, though, so we'll read it. Many studies about automobile safety suggest that when drivers must make an emergency stop, the stopping distance follow approximately a normal distribution. So here's the normal curve that they have going on right here. If you're driving 60 miles per hour, here's what happens. If you're on dry pavement, the average stopping distance is this with a standard deviation of that. They ask us to calculate some areas. We will go to the applets, and to make sure that we're doing it, we need to go to the normal distribution one. So let me make sure that you guys understand where that's at. So we're here on the applets page, and you need to select normal distributions and type in your mean of 165 and your standard deviation of 4 and plot the distribution. And this question asks us in part A, it says Marta's driving one of these cars and spots an accident 170 feet in front of her. It needs to make an emergency stop. About what % of cars in this model would be able to make an emergency stop in less than 170 feet? So that means we need to calculate the value to the left of this guy and just type in 170, and it will do it for us. Here's the hardest part of your homework, guys, understanding if they want a decimal or a percent. So you see the area is 89.44%, so we can write that down on our worksheet. It's 89.44%. But what if they asked you for 4 decimal places? You would just have to do 0.8944. The applet's going to give it to you in percent all the time. You need to read your homework program carefully to see, do they want it as a percent or do they want it as 4 decimal places? So how did I get it to 4 decimal places? I just moved the decimal 2 places to the left because that's how you do that for percents, right? So it's going to give me this. If yours is not rounding to 2 decimal places, you can always click this link right here that shows you how to adjust the rounding and see what the decimal places need to be, but you can kind of do all that on your own, and I can help you with it. So let's answer the next question. What % of cars, I think I hit the wrong button on this guy. What % of cars would be able to make an emergency stop less than 145 feet? So that's to the left of a value. We'll go to 145 and hit calculate area, and holy cow, what happened? There's no blue. Why is there no blue? There's no way, if you're driving 60 miles an hour, that you could stop in time if you're 145 feet. Mathematically, it's just not going to happen, right? So that's where we would go to a 0% chance of that happening on that guy. We're okay with that? Cool. It's just a couple more and we'll be done, man. You know, so they keep bringing up this Gary, Indiana 7th graders ITBS vocabulary scores. They ask, like, what proportion of those had a score of at least 9? Well, they're nice enough to refresh my memory about the data, even though we don't see it. It had a mean of 6.84 and a standard deviation of that, so let's put it in the applets. Holy cow, am I hitting all the wrong buttons today? Sorry, video viewers. I keep hitting the wrong buttons. Mean of 6.84 and a standard deviation of 1.55. And plot it. And they say that have at least a score of 9. What does that mean if you got at least a score of 9? Should that be like greater than 9, greater than equal to 9, or less than or equal to 9? What do you want? At least 9. You know, like the best score, the least you got was a 9. So what do you think? Greater than or less than? Greater. So that's a value to the right of it. Value to the right if you're greater than. So there's your scores. There's everybody that got a 9 or better. And that's 8.17%, baby. 8.17%. Then I kind of typed the worksheet up a little goofy, so sorry about that. If you'd move over to this question instead of going down, it's still talking about the Gary, Indiana 7th graders. How many people scored between a 6 and a 9 on that? So we'll go back to the applet, and since they gave me 2 scores, I changed this drop down to between 2 scores. Between a 6 and a 9. Calculate the area. If they want that as a decimal, that'd be 0.6243, but as a percent, it's 62.43%. Easy money, right? You know, easy money today, man. We should be dominating. So would you please read this info about Rory McIlroy and put his data into the applet for us? I'll pause the video here and let you get that done. There he is. I'm not going to keep going back and forth for you guys on the video here, but Rory McIlroy has a mean of 304 yards when he hits the driver and a standard deviation of 8. They say on a specific hole, Rory would need to hit the ball at least 290 yards. So that means to the right of a value, because the least amount he could do is 290. And when you see the blue part, you'll be like, okay, that makes sense. It's got to be at least 290, so that's 290 and above. It says, what percent of Rory's drives travel at least this? Well, that's nice, 95.99%. So we'll answer that, 95.99%. But they also ask this, is he likely to have a clear second shot? There's a 95.99% chance he could do it. So is he likely? Yes or no? That's a yes. That's very likely. You know, it's pretty much, so yes. And then last question of the day, baby. On another golf hole, Rory has the opportunity to drive the ball in the green if he hits it between a 305 and 325. What proportion of those fall in this interval? So 305 to 325, that's between two values. 305 to 325, is that what it's saying? 325. Calculate that area. Boom. 44.59% chance, which is not as likely. You know, it can definitely happen, you know, but it's not as likely. That's a small little window. That's it for today. 6 minutes and 52 seconds, and I fumbled a couple times. So, all right, let us know if you have any questions.